Hi guys, welcome to the Soul on Fire show. I am Noelle Agape and this is our new co-host, Bri Gallagher, and we are here to ignite your passion within and set your soul on fire. Hi Bri, welcome to the show again.
Hi, thank you. So excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you on this journey with me this season. It's so incredible. So guys, today we're going to go deep into emotional intelligence. We are going to talk to you about leveling, emotional leveling and energetic leveling. We're going to go deep into your emotional fields. We're going to talk about how you can literally rise to a higher self and move to the greatest version of yourself by knowing and understanding other people's emotions. So Bri, tell us a little bit about your background with your emotional health and just introduce yourself to everybody now that you're officially the co-host of the show.
Yes, this is so exciting. I mean, I've been coming on for weeks now, so I'm sure everybody kind of knows me, but this is my first official day as co-host. So yay, this is exciting. So yeah, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Bri Gallagher. I'm a certified health coach. Sorry, I just made my screen way too big. It was like blowing up in my face. I'm a certified holistic health coach, yoga instructor, quantum certified trainer, certified through Noelle, which was actually kind of how we started working together in the first place, which was an amazing experience. And I'm just all things health and wellness, especially holistic health and energy. And I've always been drawn to all things like that. And yeah, it's kind of led me where I am today. And, we'll dive more into kind of my history and all that. But that's the general overview of who I am and how I got here.
I love that so much. And you just bring so much joy to me and to the show. And we've traveled, for those of you that don't know and haven't watched our journey, we have been almost inseparable for about 2, 3, maybe 3 months now. And she's up in LA now, spending the week with her sister. And we're getting a little bit of break. I'm playing mom. And for those that don't know me, welcome to our show. It's the Soul on Fire show. I am Noelle Agape, and I am an NLP trainer and a neurolinguistics trainer and a quantum energy trainer. And we're going to tap deep into your energy fields today. We're going to go into your emotional body and talk about health and wellness from an emotional point of view, because so many people just think, and this is really where they're lacking, right, Bri, is so many people just think health is about eating healthy and working out, right? They don't tap into their emotional body or their energetic body. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think so many people get stuck in the mind, right? Rather than really feeling into the heart, the soul, the emotions of things. And we talk about, especially weight loss. Weight loss is obesity is one of the biggest pandemics in the world right now, right? I think over like 75% of Americans are obese, which is terrifying. And all of that excess weight that people are carrying around, like they don't realize how much of it is emotional and is energetic. And there's so many other ways to release that other than just eating healthy and working out. That's the first part. And we got to get people on track just with their overall health. But beyond that, when they start shedding those pounds and going through those layers, so much stuff comes up. And that goes from, your childhood or just your past, whatever you've gone through in your life that has caused you to hold on to that weight for so many different reasons. So it's deep stuff. It really is.
And it goes even deeper than just your weight. It's your finances, it's your love life, it's every area of your life that your energetic fields work in. And I know you work deep with the body, and my specialty is with the energetic fields. And that's why we merged our talents, is because you get to take care of the body and the mind, and I go into the deep soul and the spirit, right? Mm-hmm. And so one of the big things that I want to talk about is that really truly people, when they get stuck, right, go through and scan your body, right? So your emotional intelligence understands and knows what's going on. If you're in meditation and you scan your body and you ask your body what's going on, your body will tell you. If you ask your mind what's going on, your mind will tell you. If you ask your energy fields and you go through your chakras and your aura and all of your systems, it will tell you as well.
Yeah. And you've done this for me so many times, and I didn't really know that little trick or tool before you taught me. And it's crazy. Like we don't ever think that something so simple could give us so many answers, right? And it's there all along, but no one's stopping to ask those questions or to just listen to what's already there. It's so simple. It's like too simple. We overthink it, right?
Well, it's simple if you're tapped in, and it's simple if you're, and it's not very simple if you're not, right? And so those that don't know how to tap into their energetic fields, One, it's really important for you to quiet your mind. That's the first thing you can do, right? I think both of us are very active, aggressive people, right? And we're both type A, we're both athletes. But when we quiet our mind and we meditate and we tap in, we're just a completely different version of ourselves, right? One of the things that I really want to talk about today is understanding your emotional boundaries, because I think that's so important. I know that emotional intelligence is a whole nother show, but really emotional boundaries, and especially with love, especially with food, especially with alcohol, and just the boundaries that your body and your mind know. And if it doesn't feel right, let's talk about that. And let's talk about what emotional leveling is. I mean, you and I talked about this week, right? We've both gone through it in the last couple of weeks. And when we go through it, I'm like, okay, we got to teach that, right? So let's talk about emotional leveling and how when your boundaries are down, that people can actually bring you down to their level, or try to bring you down.
Yeah. Well, and this came up, I think, a lot for us when we were talking about this week in love, right? Specifically. And, we can dive more into that if you want to talk a little bit about your story. But for me, with right now, what I'm going through personally is more like the food and the alcohol, right? So I'm doing this, I'm about to start another 30-day program. I started it right before I came to see you a little over a month ago, but I got a little sidetracked. We were in Bloom, so. Well, we were first at your house, and we just were like first meeting up in a while. So we wanted to have wine, and we wanted to film and do fun things. So, admittedly, I got a little sidetracked, but it just made me realize that, like, with anything in life, like if you want it bad enough, you will stay committed, right? And again, sometimes you fall off for other reasons, and it's totally fine. But like, I'm redoing it now just because I really do want to prove to myself that I do have those boundaries and I can do it. And like, I'm in the perfect environment right now with my sister, where she's going to do it with me, and it's just going to be a really fun thing that we can do together and support each other through, and with a bigger group that's doing it as well. But for me, the alcohol was really big. Like, I didn't realize how much of a crutch I think alcohol was for me my entire adult life. Like, I was saying this, I don't think I've ever gone 30 days without drinking. And not that I have like a problem. I just, I'm a fun social drinker. I love my couple glasses of wine. And it's just like, it's just one of those things that's always my go-to. Right. And I didn't realize, like, I guess how dependent I kind of was on it. And then when you cut it out for a couple of weeks, you just, all of a sudden you realize, like, wow, I didn't really need that. Right. And that goes for so many things, like food, especially. So many people use food as a crutch and as a drug, sugar. The sugar addiction is something that's just so big. And so, yeah, just really drawing those clear boundaries, saying, like, regardless of what comes up, this is my hard no, or hard no,
Yeah, and emotional leveling is, for those of you that don't know what emotional leveling is when somebody's at a certain level and they're seeing you rise, and they're either going to bring you back down to their level, or they're going to support you to rise, right? And so a lot of the time with emotional leveling, what happens with alcohol, with sugar, with love, and I will tell my story about love today for sure, because the universe has shown me over and over again this week how, if you're in your power, you can't let things affect you. But many people will. And so emotional intelligence and spiritual maturity, this, we went through this in the quantum, whole certification, is when you understand where someone's at and you're okay with that. But emotional leveling is really, like in the case of the alcohol or the food, or even love in my sense, which we'll go into in the next segment, is that when somebody doesn't want you to be healthier, when somebody doesn't want you to be happier, because they want to keep you where they are, right? And so in the environment, because it's safe for them, right? So imagine, like, you're cutting out alcohol, for example, or sugar, for example, and you go and hang out with your friends that are partiers, right? What's going to happen in that sense?
Yeah. And that's a great example. And that's why, like, I'm kind of, now that I'm in LA, I have a lot of friends from when I used to live here, and I'm kind of just like hiding out in my own little cocoon of, like, my sister doesn't drink, so us together, we're really good for each other for that. So, and that's, I haven't put myself in that situation yet. So I'm interested to see what will happen. But again, it's like you're saying, am I going to stick to where I'm at because I'm rising, or am I going to let them pull me down? And that's when the real test comes in, right? So, and again, sometimes I think you do just kind of have to seclude yourselves at certain points in life and just say no to certain social engagements or other things that will tempt you. But it's also fun to put yourself in the situation to prove to yourself that, hey, I can do this, So I'm kind of that in between phase of, like, am I going to go meet up with some friends and see what happens? Or I just want to kind of keep in this routine I'm in. But regardless, like, it'll be it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, and you know, it's an emotional and it's an emotional journey, and that's what I wanted to talk today about, is going deep into your emotional fields, right? And I want to talk raw and real with our viewers about how, you know, and I'm going to go deep into my love story, and those that know me, I've been in and out of a 7-year relationship, right? And I want to take the relationship to the next level. I want to move in and be married, all that stuff. He's not there, right? And so raw and real on live TV, I get to talk about it. But you know, emotional leveling is when somebody brings, and I'm not saying he's done this, but when someone brings you down to their level, and this is a classic example, is gaslighting, right? When somebody says, you know, they try to manipulate your situation or your emotional well-being because they don't want you to rise, right? And so my journey with love has not been an easy one, because I have a business, I have children, I am pretty powerful in my life, and if you're not in a state where you're as in your power, what my battle has been is that, you know, people have seen me rise on my journey, and they become jealous. They become haters. They truly, some of them have like really hated, and, you know, and got to the point where they're not even friends with me anymore. They're not my clients anymore. You know, in love, it's been a journey with me growing from just owning my own business and being an entrepreneur to truly being a TV host and running retreats and being global. And I don't think that was very comfortable for my partner. And you know, there were many moments where my ex-husband and my partner would emotionally level me, right? And I had to stand in my power. And that's what I want to discuss, is that how I handled it. It's not how they reacted, it's how I handled it, right? I turned around and I was like, I love you, and I'm doing this anyway. This is my responsibility for me to be in charge of my emotions, and your responsibility for you to be in charge of yours. So let's talk about that, and let's talk about being responsible, because you and I have this conversation all the time about like being responsible for others and babying others and enabling them on their journey.
Yeah, 100%. Well, what I was going to say, just to add on to what you just said, was that I think a lot of times, like in those specific situations with your exes or whatever, or just a lot of times it's family members or close friends, when they do that, they're not doing it like on purpose to try to hold us back. It's just, It really is a subconscious thing of them trying to protect us, right? Because that's what people do. They think it's safe when you're going off and trying to do bigger things that they maybe don't understand. They're trying to protect you. They don't want you to get hurt. They don't want you to fail. But like, we understand, because this is what we want with our lives, that part of that journey might be failure, or it will be, 100% will be. There's going to be failures. There's going to be a lot of uncomfortable things, but we're willing to go through that because that's how we're going to get to the next level. So it's kind of just like you said, that emotional part of accepting that, knowing they might not understand, and that's okay, but just keep doing what you're doing and know that eventually they're going to support you and love you because they see that it's making you happy, right?
That's true. That's so true. And my tagline is, you know, I love you, and I'm sorry if you're not comfortable, but I'm going anyway. Right? And that's, I mean, pretty much, you know me, that's the story of my life. It's like, okay, I'm going to ask you to rise, and if you don't rise, then, you know, I'm okay with that, but you're not coming with me then. But let's talk, because this is really important, is that when we have to do an ego check, and both of us are teachers, right? And so we teach for a living, but there are moments in life where we have to be students as well, right? And so let's talk about when we have to go from the teacher role, which is very often in our life, we teach for a living, and, you know, I'm a parent and I'm constantly teaching as well, to receiving and leaning back and saying, okay, I'm going to be in my divine feminine, and now I'm going to be a student. What is life teaching me right now? What is it showing me through this process? What is it showing me through the emotional level? Like, and that's spiritual maturity, right? When you can do that.
Yeah. And I think it's just kind of releasing control in a way, right? Because I think you and I are similar in that way, where we like to be in control, and there's all different personality types, but I think specifically for people like us, it is a little hard to like sometimes step back and accept, I don't know everything, but that's okay. And I always be willing to learn from others, because there's so much more out there that people have to offer that you might miss out on, or you might not realize if you're closed off to it. So it's just always remaining open and knowing that you don't know what you don't know. So just be open. There's so much more to learn always, right?
I love that so much. And what I say all the time is I learn from my kids. I learn from my clients. You were my client at one time and now you're my co-host, right? And so had I been so much in my ego and either tried to level you or you level me, we wouldn't be the team that we are, right? And so when you look at life and you say, okay, this opportunity is I have a ton of knowledge in this space. I can teach in this space and I have mastered this in my life. I can teach this. And when you haven't mastered it in your life, that's when you have to be humble enough to say, oh, okay, I can learn a little bit here, right?
And to realize, like, even if you think you're a master in something, there's always more to learn. Like, why would you ever be closed off to learning more? Because somebody just might know something that you didn't know yet. And there's a good chance that they do. So don't ever, like, just stay humble, right? And don't ever try to act like you know more than the next person, because you never know what you might learn.
No, always. And my manifestation every morning is that I say, okay, universe, what can I bring through me to the world? And then I say, what do I need to receive as well? So it's this even exchange of energy where you're giving and exchanging energy. Yeah. And we're both in the Grant Cardone group right now. And he said something really powerful yesterday. He said, if you treat everyone like they're millionaires, they're going to think that they're millionaires, right? So if you treat everyone that they could teach you something, they're going to teach you something, right?
Exactly. And that's all perception. And that's just when we give people their power back, we tell them, look, we believe that you are a millionaire or that you are this or that. Like, they're going to give that back to you. But if you just close it off and act like, oh no, I know everything, I'm better than you, or you can't afford this or whatever, of course that's the same energy that you're going to receive back from them. So you get what you put out there, right? You get back.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the case with love. That's the case with business. That's the case with everything, right? I mean, how often do I say to our team, right? I'm always like, you guys tell me how can we be better, right? I'm consciously like, okay, guys, how can we be better? What is good? What needs to be different? How can we be better? And that's how you improve yourself. And so just to wrap this up, emotional leveling is when people really feel super insecure about your growth, and they either try to bring you down to their level, and you get two choices at that moment. You could go to their level, or you can ask them to rise, right? But having boundaries in that space is such a huge component, right? So let's talk about emotional boundaries, and then we're going to go to commercial right after it. But it's really important to understand that on the journey, you always are the teacher, you always are the learner and the student. But also there are times where people will energetically pull you down. Let's talk about that and having boundaries, because you and I are big with like a hard no. No. No.
We learned that in Mexico. That's when it's a no, it's a hard no. Yeah, well, I mean, is this kind of, you want to bring this into kind of that enabling thing, or is that kind of another topic you want to talk about?
I think we'll go into the enabling piece when we come back from commercial, but just a quick tip on boundaries, because I think that it's super important for people to understand, one with food, one with energy, one with emotions, one with love. In every area of your life, you have to have boundaries, right?
And you remind me of this every day, because this is something, especially as you're up leveling and you're getting to different levels in your life, like you have to have stricter and stricter boundaries. You can't keep allowing other people to take your time or to take your energy. Or where did Noelle go? I only see me on the screen right now. But yeah, it's just this. She's coming back. I'm like, what happened?
I got booted out. I don't know what happened.
But I was just saying, the idea of, the more up leveling you're doing, the firmer your boundaries have to be, because otherwise you're not going to be able to keep rising. People are going to keep trying to pull you back. And if you let them, that's on you. So you just got to be firm with your time, with your energy, with your space, with everything. And that's how you're going to just level up quicker, I think.
Well, I don't really know what you said because I got booted out. So yes.
Yes to everything.
We're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back, guys. Our show today is really this incredible show, because we're going deep into the emotional body, but we have a special treat for you. We are actually running a retreat in Tulum, and we're so excited for our retreat in Tulum. And it is literally our show is sponsored by this, and we just want to take you guys on a magical journey of. I can't even speak. I'm like, I can't speak anymore. So it's a magical journey of restoration, connection, mind, body, soul, and spirit. What else is it, Bri? Because
soul revival. That's what it's called. The soul revival.
It's the soul revival. And again, I can't even speak, but we're on live TV, so it's raw and real. But our show is sponsored by our Tulum retreat. And we're going to go to commercial and give me a little break. We'll be right back. I forgot how much fun we had on that trip. It was so amazing. It was incredible. And we're going to change your life on this trip here. You can go to noelleagape.com, Soul Revival Retreats, if you want to find out more information. But for right now, we're going to talk about emotional enabling and what that looks like. And when people are leveling you, and when people are gaslighting you, and when people are really, truly not living in that power. So Bri, why don't you tell us a little bit about what that looks like?
Ooh, enabling has always played a really big role.
Big word for us the last couple of weeks.
Right? Just in my life in general, I think I didn't realize so much, maybe until the last couple of years, how much of an enabler I've been to a lot of people in my life, and all my past relationships, to a lot of family members, close friends, just, and I think a lot of times we go directly to addiction. We think it has to deal with addiction, which it definitely does. But again, there's so many different types of addiction. There's not just drugs and alcohol and food, but just like depression. Like this was a big thing with my ex that I dealt with, and you know a lot about my story with him, but I would constantly enable this behavior of just like sitting around and not doing anything. Like it was just, there's a lot of different ways that you can enable people, and ultimately we're only hurting them the more that we do that, right? And it's up to us to really have those boundaries, draw that line, and give a hard no and say, I'm not allowed this. You just have to say, I can't allow this anymore, because it's not only affecting me, but it's only affecting you, but it's affecting me. And neither one of us are going to come out of this better if we continue to go down this path, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that one of the most important things with you standing in your power is allowing someone else to stand in theirs, right? Yes. And when we understand that it's not our responsibility for them to be, it's our responsibility is how we act to their emotions. It's not our responsibility for us to change them, for them to in any way, shape or form, take care of their emotions, right? And so let's talk about soul contracts and sacred contracts, and you know this journey, right? And so in love, especially, or even with other relationships, right? It doesn't just have to be with love. Your soul comes in and says, okay, I'm going to learn this lesson, and these contracts, there's certain contracts that you have with your soul, and you and I have soul contracts, right? We have all of this journey that you go on, but when you are pushing the boundaries with someone, you have to understand that you're learning a lesson. So emotional intelligence is when someone is pushing your boundaries, or they are leveling you or gaslighting you or whatever it is. It's your responsibility, and it's your emotional intelligence and your spiritual maturity to not enable them, to not make that choice. But your contracts that you have from an energetic realm, you come in to your life, and you come in and your soul says, okay, this is the life lesson I'm going to learn with this, right? And so often with enabling, we think that we're loving, and we think that we're nurturing, but really what we're doing is hurting, and it's going against our soul, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the biggest lesson for me in all of this was that these soul contracts, or people or situations or whatever they are, will continue to show up in your life. It's a pattern and it's going to keep coming until you learn your lesson, right? It's like we always say the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over and not making a change. So these things will continue to show up in your life in different ways until you finally get firm in those boundaries and you're ready to learn the lesson, and you make the right decision so that you are doing whatever you have to do to learn from that and move on. And until you do, like literally, the universe will continue to put things in front of you just to test you. It happens to me all the time. And I'm like, okay.
Different people in different circumstances, right? But same lesson. And so that's where we say all the time, and this is what we teach, is to be the observer of your life, right? And so what is this teaching me? How can I be the student in this moment right now? This is frustrating me. This is an emotional trigger. I am, oh my gosh, here I am enabling this person again. And, there was quite a few situations over the last couple of months that both you and I was like, stop enabling, and you were like, stop enabling, right? And so I think because we are such nurturers, but I've gotten to the point, and this is what we can talk about working together, is I've gotten to the point where it just annoys the crap out of me, right? Where somebody's not in their power and they're dependent upon me and with their power. And it bothers me so much now that I actually disconnect. I do the opposite. I'm like, I pull away, where you like were going in, and I like completely pulled away, right?
Yeah, and it was so interesting to watch, because I'm just like watching you. I remember one call, and I could just see you getting so
so mad.
You literally just like shut down, and I was like, okay, like let's talk about this. There's gotta be a way to handle this. But I get it though. Like when you dealt, and this is your soul contract, when you dealt with the same thing enough times over and over and over, this is your time to step up and say, okay, enough's enough. I'm ready to learn this lesson, and when I'm not going to continue to enable people. Whereas maybe with me, I'm not quite ready. Maybe it hasn't happened enough times. I don't know, because you would think it has by now.
But
apparently not, because I'm still trying to be like, no, but wait, it's okay. You can help them.
No. Well, your heart is so big, and I think that's like where, not that my heart's not big, because we both have tremendous hearts, but I think that like my kids are teenagers now, right? And I'm not in mommy mode anymore, and the mommy energy really with Mark, with some of our employees sometimes, it's, if I go into mommy mode, it really is not a great place for me. And that's where I think, and I know I'm done with my soul contracts, where I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm in my power. I need you to be in your power, because I'm not here to carry you. And even on this journey with this whole show and running retreats, you've never run retreats before. And you've never been a TV host, and you've risen every single time I've asked you, right? Which is amazing and wonderful, but it could have gone the other way. It could have been like, come on, Bri, you got this. And I could have been, I'm a great coach, but I'm definitely never going to be your mom, right?
Yeah, no, and it's been, it hasn't always been easy. We fight and we go at each other. I mean, but that's part of it, right? And
yeah,
it's so funny, because when you were just talking about, like, I literally had someone tell me this week that I'm really good with man children. And
I was like, that's not okay. That's totally not okay.
Clearly, I've been dealing with them for way too long if someone's telling me that. So that was a kind of a wake-up call for me. Like, okay, like I need to stop, because it is that enabling, and it's
and I think that the pattern with you was the man child, right? And so you were the mother and the nurturing mother with the man child, and the pattern with me was definitely the self-centered person that it was always a battle of control with me and the person that I was with, right? Even up until yesterday with Mark, and sorry if you're watching, not sorry. We're good. He's fine, but it's a battle. It was a battle of control, and finally, I just stopped and I just said, I'm done with this. I'm done with the control. I'm done with the battle. I don't need this in my life anymore, right? And so, again, we have to make that conscious choice too, where we have our boundaries. And so let's go deep into when our boundaries are down and what that looks like, what it looks like when somebody has no boundaries, and what it looks like when somebody's boundaries are up. I work with the energy systems, and I teach you how to work with your aura. And that's one of the most important things that I think I taught in the quantum certification, was about protecting your aura. But that's a whole nother show, is understanding your energy fields and working in your energy fields to change and manipulate the situation. But let's talk about the emotional component and the emotional intelligence, how it brings you to spiritual maturity.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's just people that I call like energy suckers. They come along and they're just draining you of that energy, and we're letting them, right? That's kind of what we're talking about with the emotional maturity. If we're allowing them to do that, then we're not having that level of maturity to be like, no, like that's not going to help me in my life right now. That's not what I want. And again, it just continues to come back to boundaries. Sometimes I just see you look at me like, oh, look, she learned something.
I know the best was in Mexico, and I was like, yay, go Bri.
But no, what were we saying? I just got distracted because you had that cute look
You
on
were
your
talking
face.
about boundaries. And so the difference between, I mean, energetic boundaries, that's a whole nother show. We could do that and talk about your aura and working with your energy fields and your aura and protecting yourself energetically. But let's talk about emotionally. And that's a self-worth thing, right? If you're not in your space where you have value yourself and you have enough self-worth, it feels really good when people love you. And so, but when they love you for the wrong reasons, like you're too nurturing and you're taking care of them, of course they're going to love you because you're taking care of them, but you're enabling them and you're hurting you, right? By not growing.
Well, and you're giving your parts of you away that you shouldn't. That's the thing. You're literally giving away your energy. And I know we're talking about emotion, but energy and emotion, same thing. They go hand in hand. So it's just when you're giving that away, you're taking away from you. And it should never be that way. It should always be, no matter who you're working with, whether it's a relationship, a business, whatever, like you should be constantly like, you want to give a little bit, but you also want to be constantly gaining from one another. It should be a mutually beneficial thing, not just one give, and the other take, right?
Agreed. And that's such a great point. And so let's talk about how it looks when somebody is out of balance and when one person is in control or one person is giving more and the other person is receiving. There are such thing as energy suckers, but they're also, in the narcissistic realm, people are going to it's always about the person, right? They're always going to make it about themselves, right? Because in everybody else's world, and there's a fine line between being a narcissist and sucking all the attention and or having empathy, right?
Yeah. Well, and being a narcissist and wanting all the attention versus just being someone who naturally shines bright and doesn't need to ask for the attention. You just have it because you give off this beautiful aura and this beautiful energy, which I like to think we both do. but yeah, I mean, you don't have to try that hard when it's just there, right? You don't have to be like begging for the attention or whatever. And I don't know where I was going with that, but
well, that's a great point. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about when you're in your divine feminine and the divine masculine energies, and what the wounded masculine and wounded feminine look like. I mean, I teach this all the time to you guys, and I know that you know this, right? And so the wounded masculine truly does need to be like nurtured and babied, right? Or in control, right? One of the two, the narcissist. And the wounded feminine is the very needy, the very it is the nurturing, overly nurturing person, overly enabling. And the divine masculine and divine feminine, what does that look like? I know you know it.
Standing in your power. Well, if you get the two together, it's just perfect harmony. And you can just, like, when you see this couple who you can just tell they have that, it's a beautiful thing to watch. But fortunately, a lot of times we see the opposite. We see people fighting and screaming at each other in public, and you can just look at them and know that, there's something off there. But yeah, it's a beautiful harmony. You can just tell, you can see it, you feel it, it's an energetic thing, like everything.
Yeah, I so agree with that. And so let's talk about what self-worth looks like with emotional leveling. When somebody comes in and they're not being their highest self in a relationship with you, whether it's a business partnership, whether it's an intimate partnership, what does that look like when they're not being their highest self? You're not being their highest self. What does that look like?
I mean, it could be a lot of different things, but trying, again, like kind of sucking energy from you in some way, whether it's trying to just being needy, asking for things from you that you're not willing to give, like trying to take you out of your power, trying to prove something, trying to overcompensate almost for something. I mean,
I love that.
There's a lot of different ways, but what do you think?
Well, I think that communication is one of the most important things. And look at like our journey, even just, obviously we don't have an intimate relationship. We are soul sisters and we're on this journey together. But communication, if we didn't have communication, how would our relationship be different as business partners? How would our relationship, I mean, when you get emotionally triggered, it's very hard to maintain very good communication with people, right?
Yeah, no, and that's literally everything stems from communication. We've dealt with this so much in the last few months together, and you get to the point where you just have to say those uncomfortable things. That's the only way you're going to work through whatever the problem is. And I think that's one of the hardest things that most people are afraid to do, and that's what I think a lot of problems in relationships, again, business, personal, whatever it is, when you don't speak your truth, when you don't talk about what's bothering you, you're going to bottle it up. It's going to come out later in a much worse way, or it's never going to come out, and you're just going to maybe part ways and never really get to the root of what was really there, which if you did, it could turn into something really beautiful. Like I literally think about this all the time, all the stuff that's come up for us. If I had just like left and been like, okay, I'm done, I don't want to talk about this with you, we wouldn't be here right now, you know?
No, it's true. It really is true. And the greatest thing in the world is that we get to explore that side of us, right? And from a spiritual maturity point of view, emotional intelligence is having the awareness, saying, okay, I am aware that this is triggering me. I am aware that this is bothering me. The spiritual maturity is working through it. That's the difference, right?
Yeah.
I think that so many people can teach emotional intelligence, which is wonderful and incredible, but if they don't take it to the next level of the spiritual maturity and actually, I mean, as hard as it sounds, like you got to grow up a little bit at times on some journeys of relationships. It's the path of expansion and a path of experience. And so the soul contracts and the sacred contracts are, your sacred contract is your destiny, and your soul contracts are your lessons that you have along on that destiny. There are people that are going to teach you those lessons, but you don't have to continue the lessons if you've already learned them, right? And so part of spiritual maturity is understanding when to let go and when to say goodbye and when to walk away from certain people or certain circumstances, or just knowing that you're done with the lesson, right? This week, I was like, I'm absolutely done with the wounded masculine. Like I dealt with that for years, right? And on your journey, like what was the biggest thing that you had to overcome to get to spiritual maturity with communication?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I would say, well, it's funny in like romantic relationships, I think that's something I'm still working through. Like, in my last serious relationship, I did have to get to that point where I had to force a lot of those uncomfortable conversations because he just wouldn't open up. And it was so frustrating. It was like talking to a wall sometimes. I'm sure we've all experienced that with someone at some point. And, you just want to have this breakthrough. You just want to talk about the deep things that's like holding you guys back. And like, when they just won't do it, it's like, again, just like you just have that realization, it's time to move on. I can't keep trying to force something that's not going to happen. And again, like with you and I, there's been a lot of growth for me just in these past few months that we've been together, because a lot of these uncomfortable conversations are things like, and this is what I've noticed too, is like, they're the kind of things you have with only like siblings or family or people that you're really close to. Like my sister and I have the kind of fights that you and I have, but it's literally
not really fights, but
you know what I mean? Like things where you're working through tough stuff and then like you're going at it and 5 minutes later you talked it out and you're best friends again and you're fine. Because that's the maturity. Like it's like, we're going to work through this. We know we want to be here. We know we're not leaving each other's lives. That's that kind of family almost bond that you get with people when you know that you're committed to working with them and working through whatever's coming up, right?
Well, and I think that one of the life lessons that came up with me that you've taught me so much in in intimate relationship, you taught me in our relationship, that has taught me in my relationship with Mark is, and even, everyone else in my life, is trust, right? I think that for me, my wound was my wounded masculine. I hadn't healed my wounded masculine, right? And I did a lot of work on my inner feminine, and I stepped into my feminine power, and I, have an incredible, wonderful business, and I'm thriving with my kids as a mom. So the feminine I did a lot of work with, but the wounded masculine was really hard for me, and the word trust came up with. And so what you have taught me on the journey is how to trust, and I think I'm going to bring that now into my relationships, my intimate relationships, right? So we mirror each other in every way, because relationships in any way are mirrors, right? So let's talk about that, because yours was a big one too, right? I mean, yours was a big lesson that you had. Mine was 100% trust, and I really didn't trust the wounded masculine. I mean, I trust the divine masculine, but there wasn't very many. I wasn't opening the door for many divine masculine energies to come in, because I didn't trust the wounded masculine. So what I was doing was I was focusing on the lack of trust, and then the wounded masculine would come into my life, because like attracts like, right? And so what I had to work through the entire journey was understanding and welcoming the divine masculine energies in my life, right? And so how about you?
Well, my word that came up that you helped me realize a lot was judgment, right? And I think I didn't realize how much I was not only judging others all the time, but even myself. And when you have this kind of, and it goes into, I think, the comparisons thing. A big thing with judgment is you're constantly comparing yourself to others. And that goes into my business and what I'm trying to do with you and just with everything, is that you're not going to get to whatever level of success you're trying to achieve if you're constantly comparing yourself to others, right? So it's almost just acceptance is a huge word that kept coming up. It's like accept where you are in the moment, accept others for where they are, and give them, just like applaud them and say that's amazing, and like look at it as, I know I can get there as well, but no, just completely release judgment in all form, because it will hold you back. And I realize it's been holding me back for a lot longer than I realized.
I love that so much. And that is such an awareness and such a spiritual for you, like a growth in the last 6 months. It's that was such an expansion for you. And I love that so much. I think once I trusted, right, and I trusted myself, that's when the tests started to come out, right? How many tests came up in Mexico? How many tests came as soon as I got back with Mark, right? It was like all of these tests of, okay, you're going to trust? Okay, let's see how much you're going to trust. Okay, do you trust me? And the thing I really learned was boundaries. Like I didn't trust a lot in Mexico. There was some shady moments where I was like, I probably shouldn't trust in this moment.
I don't think they were shady. They're only shady if you allow them to be in your mind. I was like, oh my God.
But there were moments that was such a big component for me, right? And so then I came back and it tested me in my relationship with Mark. So I think that the greatest thing in the world now is spiritual maturity, is having an awareness of that, right? Oh my gosh, life is teaching me. What can I learn from it, right? I get to teach every day. We teach everyone every day, but I get to learn on a daily basis as well, right? And so we're going to take another commercial, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk deeply about how relationships in general, when you are in your power, when you are in your divine light, and the divine masculine and feminine energies are balanced within you, how you call in the right people, right? And I say all the time, my soulmate clients, my soulmate team, like we have a soulmate team, right? I mean, our team is like knocking it out. It's amazing. Our team is incredible. We have a soulmate team, and our clients, we call in our soulmate clients. Let's talk about that when we get back, about calling in the right people. Again, guys, I'm going to try this one more time. Our show today is sponsored by our retreat in Tulum that we are running. It is a soul revival retreat. We are going to change your life, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And just come on this magical journey with us, guys, because it is going to be beautiful. Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you for coming on the Soul on Fire show. Thank you for those that are here live, and thank you those that are watching replay. This is season 2, and we are knocking it out of the park with emotional intelligence. Bri and I are leading experts in health and wellness and consciousness, guys, and we cannot wait for you to come on the journey of changing your life on our Soul Revival Retreat. What we talked about in the beginning, Bri, why don't you just do the recap, Bri, of what we talked about the first 2 segments?
Well, every time I watch the commercial, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to go back to
It was literally so much fun.
But yeah, what have we been talking about? Soul contracts really was a big one, and just kind of those repetitive patterns that continue to come up, and how to work through them with emotional maturity, with spiritual maturity. Boundaries has been a huge thing that we've been talking about in all types of relationships. So yeah, let's keep it going. What are we talking about next?
So it's so important to understand emotional intelligence is truly just having an awareness of your emotional body, right? And then your boundaries are the most important thing that you can have, because when you're in your power, you can have boundaries, firm boundaries that are your non-negotiables, right? Mm-hmm. And so let's talk about non-negotiables, because I think that is so important. Calling in divine energy, calling in energies that, this is a hard no, right? You have to have boundaries that are hard no. And that's how you manifest your dream team, your dream clients, your dream business, right? It's, and understand and have an awareness in your life of boundaries. You have an awareness in your life of, this is my why, this is my hard no, and this is my non-negotiables. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think a lot of that comes back to structures and procedures, which I know you're so big on. Because, and this is something I've learned a lot from you on, and I've struggled with in the past because I didn't have a big business background. Like this whole entrepreneur journey I've been on the last few years was brand new to me, and that was one of the things I struggled with a lot. And so it was hard almost to call in exactly what I wanted when I was so scattered and so all over the place. So just getting really clear, getting really focused, getting everything just where it's supposed to be, where you feel good and you feel aligned, and then you're naturally going to draw in the right people because you're feeling aligned and you're in that energetic space to call in exactly who you're looking for, right?
I love that so much. And so what does it look like when you're not in alignment with your highest self and you're creating things and you're creating them from a space of lack as opposed to creating, whether it's abundance, it's food, it's relationships, whatever it may be. What is it when you're not in your power, when you're not in your divinity, when you're not connected? What does that like? What types of relationships do you call in?
Well, and that's been a huge one for me in business, right? This coming from a place of lack subconsciously without realizing it. And it's because, when you're, regardless of what product or service you're offering or selling, like when you feel really good about it, like it's easier to sell it when you believe in it and you know, but deep down when you know you need the money as well, regardless of how much that product or service is going to help people, a part of you is kind of coming from that place of lack because you're like, oh my gosh, I have to make the sale, I need the money. But when you can really just completely detach from that and remember why you're really doing this, your bigger picture, like really is to help people, really is to get this product or service into people's hands that will help them. That's the big difference right there. And that's when things really start to align in a really cool way. And I've seen the difference of both when I'm in that alignment and when I'm not. And it's so obvious. So that's a big one for me.
I love that so much. And I'm so proud of you.
I'm just thinking with that face and you're just like, oh, look at it, be like a proud mama. It's so cute.
I love it so much. It makes me so proud. Literally proud mama moment right there. so oh my gosh, we're gonna like, and I do have to say one thing before we move forward, just because it was probably one of the best moments in my life. So teaching you light language, and this is how I knew you had to be on the show with me. And I'm gonna tie it in just a second. But so you were my client. We went through like the business coaching, and then we went through the quantum certification and all of that stuff, and then teaching you light language. And it was probably one of the most fun moments I've ever had in my entire life because we laughed, literally, we were giggling and our souls were so like misremembered and we were hysterical. But the other moment was truly when we were just literally, we hadn't had anything to drink. We were just completely exhausted. It was the last day of Tulum and we sat in bed and we giggled for like an hour and a half, literally.
It was like our light language all over again.
It was the best. I mean, literally, it was so like we could not stop laughing. And so that ties into calling in your soulmates, your soul clients, your soul people, right? And so what I realized so much through my journeys, whether it was an intimate relationship or building a team, that our team is probably some of my favorite humans on this planet, right? I mean, we have incredible, incredible people on our team. Just building my business and my clients, I call in people that I love from my soul, right? I really, really love from my soul. And I don't really have much tolerance for very lower energies. And I say all the time that I'm an energy snob, right? And not like, oh my God, I'm a snob, but like, I just don't like being around negative energies. It's really hard for me. And so I call my clients in, I call my soulmates in, I call everything in. But I work in the energetic fields and I do the work. I do the internal work, right? I got in a fight with Mark yesterday and this is raw and real. I mean, I love him from my soul. I spent 7 years of my life with him. And, I called that in because I wanted to really move to a next level, right? And so it's calling everything in. There's nothing in your inner world that is going on. I mean, your outer world that is not emanating your inner world, right? Mm-hmm. And so let's talk about that, and let's talk about how important it is to call in the right people. I mean, again, he's one of the greatest humans I know, and I love him tremendously. But I had some stuff that I was still working with. And so you're calling in people that are either going to teach you to expand, or you're calling in people that are truly just going to bring you joy and light, which was, like I said, our light language session. And when we were giggling in bed, that's when it just solidified me. And when you were saying trust the entire time, that's really when I trusted, when it was like, okay, I know for sure. And it's a feeling for me. How about for you?
Yeah. When it comes to calling in the right people, it's like like you said, it's literally a reflection. You're going to attract whatever you're feeling on the inside. So that means you have to do that inner work. Like, I don't know if you want to share what it is exactly that you do, but for everyone, it's going to be different. Noelle's really big in the energetic space, and she clears her chakras every day. She meditates for like an hour in the morning and at night. Like, I wish I could get to that space, you know, and I'm a yogi and I like to meditate and all that, but we all have our own ways. And I feel what I realized for me, because I might be more of like a, not in my head kind of person, but like it's the certain things like the personal development, like the just listening. Like this morning, I was listening to something by like Tom Billy. It was like a 30-minute little motivational speech. That kind of stuff gets me feeling really good. It really gets me pumped up. It gets me in alignment. It gets me like ready to go out and attract those people that are on that same page and want the same things that I do. And so it's going to be different for everybody. Some people it's really, and this is something, Dr. Scott, who you know, a dear friend of mine, like and a mentor, he had me help me have this really big realization. And I don't know that you and I have even talked about this so much, but that, you know, we talk so much about coming inward and finding everything inward, but that doesn't always work for everybody. I think there's different types of people, right? Where some of us really gain our energy and our whatever it is we're looking for more from the outer world, which isn't always a bad thing. Not necessarily like you're gathering it from watching everyone around you, but just like the universe, the energy around you, right? And so for me, I'm almost someone like I look up at the sky or the sun, and that gives me energy. Being in the sun gives me energy. So it is a little bit more external, I think, for me. Like I have a little bit harder of a time going inside, which you know. But then there's someone like you that you get so much energy from going inside. So there's different types of people, but just honoring that, right? And knowing what works for you and gathering that energy from wherever you need to, because that's what you're going to then emanate and attract others that are on that same vibration, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that you make conscious choices to work out, to eat clean, to do the work regardless, right? It's whether it's the outer work or the inner work, you're making conscious choices to do that. And so, you know, life really is a choice. You get to choose whether you want to stay in a situation that is, you know, with emotional intelligence. Life is an awareness, right? One thing that you're a very active person, but you're so tapped in internally that you have an internal awareness too. And so I'm going to just go even further than Scott in the sense where everything is internal, everything, because it's you and your connection to spirit, and how you experience life on the external is because of your connection to spirit, really. And so you're calling in people and circumstances and things that are attracting you and that are high vibrational things. But we get to choose, because the opposite is always going to be there, right? We get to choose to be healthier. We get to choose to have your boundaries with alcohol, and you get to choose not to spend your time around your friends that you love that are a little bit more partier. I get to choose to be in a relationship that has emotional boundaries, right? And so I think that that's the biggest part about calling in your soulmates, is that there are moments along this path, even with you, with Mark, with anybody in my life, that I communicate and I say, this is my bad boundary. This is my hard no. This is my non-negotiable. This is my why. And you get to decide if you want to come with me on the why. But this is my hard no. And right. I mean, I'm pretty firm with that. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that's everybody's going to be different in what works for them as far as where they're drawing their energy from or what makes them feel good. But the bottom line is do more of what makes you feel good. It's that simple, right? Like whatever makes you feel good and is going to bring you in the highest vibration to then attract in people on that similar vibration. That's really what you have to do. And it could be different for everyone, but you just got to figure out what that is for you. And again, for me, it's a lot of the physical movement. I have to move my body or I'm just like not in a good headspace, you know, and I have to eat good. I have to drink my water. Like I have to do those things that I know are just going to
cranky without her water.
We're both crazy about water. Yeah, we get cranky when we don't have water and when we're hungry. But
a quick tip and takeaway for calling in your soulmate, calling in your divine team, calling in the people, is truly you get in alignment with what you want, right? And so these are the things that I do in the morning. Is I meditate, I clear my chakra, and then I clear my aura. But one thing I am clear on is my why, right? My why is my family and global impact, and as much service as I can make in this world today is what is going to change humanity tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
My kids and global impact. Those are my two whys. They are my non-negotiable. And then I break it down into chunks, right? As in a relationship, I need this. I need to feel safe. I need to have trust. I need to feel loved. I need, I need that. I don't need it from you. I just need you to honor that. That's what I need from me, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, and then the final step to that is that you connect to the energy of it, right? And so you're very clear on your no, you're very clear on your why, you're very clear on your boundaries, and then from that space you connect to the energy of what you want. Okay, this person is loving and kind and want to make global impact and on this journey with me and committed, and you make the list of the things that you want, and then you connect to the energy from that space.
Yeah. And on that note too, just writing those things down every day. This was one of my big takeaways from the Grant Cardone training that we're both doing right now that I'm really loving, is like just the morning routine. That's something, again, that I always struggle with because, you know, my lack of structure and whatnot. I'm getting better. And especially just where I'm at right now, I'm feeling really good about it. So I have this list every morning of the things I'm doing. And one of them is just getting really clear, writing down your goals, what you want in your life. And just like you said, the more you write it down and look at it and visualize it and feel it and connect with that energy, the more you're going to draw it in. And even just today, I had two amazing, like, I guess you could call them sales calls, or there were two different people I connected with that are potentially going to buy one of the water machines from me. And it was just, I hadn't had calls like that in a while. And it's because I'm getting in a better vibration. I'm doing the things I need to do to feel better first thing in the morning. So of course I'm going to draw in better people. And it's this ongoing cycle. And once you get in that flow, it's just going to keep going and going, and it's contagious. You're going to draw in more people like that. It's a beautiful thing. So
Michael Beckwith says it perfectly. He said, it's not the law of attraction, it's the law of resonance. And so what you're resident, like where are you residing? Where's your resonance? Where is your emotional, like, where are you emotionally? Because that's where you're going to be energetically too.
Yeah.
Right? The law of resonance. I love that so much. It's such a beautiful gift. So let's talk a little bit about our retreat and what's coming up for everybody. Go ahead. You can go.
Oh, you go first.
We got 4 minutes. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I know we've been kind of dropping a lot of hints. We talked about it, I think, on last week's show, but I don't know if we like officially launched it. But it's official. It's happening. It's June 1st through 6th. It's in Tulum, Mexico, at the most amazing resort. It's called Amansala.
Amansala. We both of us have trouble. You edit like 6 times.
I always want to add an R. You always take out the N, but it's Amansala. Yeah. So it's the most beautiful, and it's just, you can't really describe it. You got to go there and you have to feel it, and you will feel it energetically. We felt it. Felt so connected, so rejuvenated. So, I mean, the staff there, the food, just the ambiance, like, it has everything you need in one place. Like, you really don't even have to leave the resort. But of course, we have other adventures we're going to take you guys on. We're going to go zip lining and RATVing and see the cenotes and all those things too. But like, you could literally just stay at this resort for a whole week and be so content. But there's so much to do.
Well, we were both kind of, disconnected, and we went to Tulum and we reconnected, and it was so amazing. And it was truly just mind, body, soul, and spirit connection. It was energy. It was adventure. It was meditation 1 minute, and then literally jumping, off a zip line the next minute. We rappelled into caves. We, guys, we're going to do this with you. It's such an incredible, beautiful journey because you're going to have fun. You're going to connect to us. We're going to activate your soul, and we're going to revive your soul, guys. So come on this beautiful journey. Thank you so much for being here on the live. Thank you for being on the replay. Really, 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 guys, if this resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe, because our mission here at Noelle Agape Global and with Bri, with all of us that we're working together at Infinite Wellness, we're here to change humanity. Really, we're here to get you to the highest version of yourselves. You are so powerful. You are so light. We love you more than anything in the world, and we want to change your life, guys. Go to noelleagape.com. If you have any questions at all, there's free meditations, there's free activations, there's things that, like, literally you can hop on a call with Bri. I think you have a free 30-minute call, right? And all of the other practitioners. We have practitioners from the quantum all the way to teaching yoga. We're here to make your mind, body, soul, and spirit connection at the highest level. You are more powerful than you will ever know. Final thoughts, Bri?
You always put me on the spot. I should be more prepared for the final thought. I'm just like taking in everything you're saying. I'm like, oh my gosh, yes.
I'm glad to captivate you. Now can you captivate them?
Yeah, I mean, you constantly remind me of how powerful I am, and I love that you're able to do that to people, and we both are, and that's why we're here. So just everybody remember, you're powerful, you're beautiful, you are light, you are love, and come to Tulum with us and experience in real life. Come to
Tulum. Let's change your life, and you are loved. And I love that you said that, Bri. You are light, and you are love, and you are so, so loved. We love you guys from the bottom of our soul. Our journey here is just to set your soul on fire. That's it. However that may be, we're going to set your soul on fire. Join us on this journey. We love you so much.
Love you guys. Bye.